have a very detailed update on Austin, because I've been in the woods for the last 3 months. I just came off sabbatical, so I've got some details on Austin, but what I'd really like to do is give kind of big picture Austin, as well as give some updates from overseas. So we've been pursuing No Place Left in Austin since really Fred and Melissa were the initial catalysts. I believe that was 2014, 2013. And since then, we've learned a ton of lessons. Right now, where we stand today, we have divided the city up into different, we call them Galilees, pockets of 200,000 people, and just making sure that at some point, all of these areas are going to be owned by somebody, a local team, a local church, taking responsibility for lostness. And so at this point, we've got somewhere between 15 and 20 sub-teams across those 10 Galilees. In the Northwest, we're working with a church, Hill Country. Some of y'all know Peter Horn. He's continuing to just learn lessons all the time. We've been doing a lot of our work with Austin Stone, and we had a lot of pool of people to train through there, and have learned a ton of lessons through that. Most of our fruit has come through work with Latinos. At this point, we have a network of Latino leaders, and this is probably the most consistently encouraging thing in Austin. A network of Latinos who, at this point, have gotten to third-gen church and fourth-gen disciples. And just recently, like the network is made up of one leader that lives in Central, and then two other leaders that live kind of out in the East. And these two leaders out in the East, the woman, she had her brother die in a car wreck, and just, it really was a painful experience for her. And then the next week, she just felt like, man, the way that I can be with Jesus is to go out and share with people. And she went the next week and led like 30 people to Christ. Just seeing that level of commitment to the Lord, and to see that it's not for her, it's not a works-based thing. It's just, man, that's where she feels like she's with Jesus the most, is when she's out sharing with lost people. And so that's been really encouraging for our team, just getting to see her. Her name's Norma. She crushes it consistently. This is also kind of cool. The Spanish-speaking team has, on their own, just gotten contacts out in New Mexico, and has continued to just own work in El Paso and Albuquerque, and one other, Las Cruces. But yeah, so they're training a group of churches out there. So that's really awesome. And then they've started churches in kind of working down through central Mexico. And that's just all been through Oikos. And so they're at second gen church in somewhere in central Mexico. I can get the city name for you. So that's been awesome. And then college, we've got a separate team focused on the college campus at University of Texas, which is even weirder than the rest of Austin, if that is possible. Even more vegans on the campus at University of Texas. Plant-based, baby. Yeah, plant-based, thank you. A lot of plant-based eating on the campus.
That's what we're doing here, right?
Another really cool thing is on the east side, Todd Watkins was mentioned earlier. Todd has really, we've heard mentioned a few times this shepherding voice on teams. Todd Watkins is a gift to our team. Him and his family, they served overseas for a number of years, and they have been in Austin, and he's serving at a church called The Well, and The Well has a vision to send 100 missionaries to unreached people groups. And so through that, they said, hey, would you just tell us what to do? And so they want to start a No Place Left pipeline coming out of their church. And so we made the decision to actually embed a sub-team into their church just for a season, just saying, hey, give all of your time and attention to helping them build out the systems for sending. And so that's very much a work in progress. We're still, there's a lot to learn there, and I would definitely welcome input on that. That's been really encouraging. So they're sending their first team that will land in Barcelona, Spain in January 2019. And that team has been consistently involved in the harvest, all working full-time, engaging the harvest full-time. So it's been all the way around, I'm consistently encouraged by what the Lord's doing. And then we have a church rising up in the south that is looking like it'll probably be another situation like the Well. They're called North Star, and they've just also said, hey, we want to. This guy planted a pretty big mega church in Austin, and just felt called by the Lord to leave that mega church, and started a church in the south with the vision of planting churches locally and sending catalysts globally. And so that's a recent development. And then one of our key guys, Ronnie, is also going to be landing in South Asia with Nick from Dallas. He and Nick, from my understanding, will be landing in Kumar's network for a 2-year commitment. Is that right? Yeah. So that'll be fun for them. Stuckages, church sustainability, and 3rd gen church. We're getting consistent 1st and 2nd gen. Getting over the hump of 3rd gen church has been a struggle for us. I really just feel like we need an outside iron on iron, kind of some time with our team, just outside voice to come in, and a 4-day at some point. And then one of the unique challenges I would say in Austin, because of the Austin Stone Poll, is most of our team came in through initially wanting to go to the nations. And so to slow a bunch of millennials down and say, don't go to the nations yet, focus here, has been really challenging. And so as quickly as we're raising up people, they're saying, hey, I feel called to South Asia, I feel called to North Africa. And so I would say we need a stay team. Even like we've gotten the 2nd and 3rd generations of trainers, but all those trainers also have vision for the nations. And so that's something we're trying to figure out right now, is a stay team, somebody that will actually stay in Austin and own Austin. Yeah. That being said, my fiance and I get married in June, and so. But with that, the Lord has given us a vision for the Mediterranean. We just really sense what the Lord, similar to what Jeff mentioned, what the Lord's doing in Europe through refugees and immigrants, as well as the fruit that's starting to bubble up in North Africa. We just said, Lord, send us, we'll go. We want to see movements happen all the way around the Mediterranean, and we're calling it the Mediterranean Laces strategy. And the idea is we want to see these cross-pollinating networks crisscrossing the Mediterranean, both from Southern Europe as well as in North Africa.
You gonna buy a boat or a yacht?
Yeah. So following the example of Paul, we're gonna get a yacht.
A yacht.
So
where our next meeting is?
yeah, come on. So it fits. We can hold 15. So we're gonna do a 4-day on the yacht, and we're gonna have the whole thing fitted as one big whiteboard. So you can anywhere on the yacht.
Just don't invite Jeff or you might suffer shipwreck.
So I got 2 minutes. I want to get through this. The most encouraging, our involvement in South Asia has just done wonders for our team. Putting people on the ground there for short and long term, and just letting that fire feed back into Austin has been really awesome. Recently at the No Place Left Summit, a pastor from Katy, we got connected, and he had an Italian business guy come to the U.S. In an effort to expand his business. And this guy told his wife, hey, his wife told him, rather, I'll go to the U.S. with you if you'll go to church with me every Sunday. And so he's like, sure, whatever. And so they moved to Houston for about 6 months. And while they're there, they both come to Christ. He's a hardcore atheist, like even argued with Christians on why the Bible is ridiculous. And actually, the Moses documentary was some of the stuff that the Lord used to convince him. But his wife grew up evangelical. She left the faith. And so now they come to Christ. And a month after they come to Christ, they go back to Italy and lead 30 of their friends to Christ. Start a church in their home, all by reading the Bible and following the Holy Spirit. And so when we got connected, they had already led 30 to Christ and already started the church in their home. And so when he's telling me that on the phone, I'm like, when are you going back to Italy? And he said, in 2 days. It's like, okay, I'm coming tomorrow. And so drove to Katy, spent 8 hours with him just working through the 4 fields. That was, when was the summit? July?
Yeah.
So that was August. So since August, we've been, Coach, doing a weekly call. And he has pretty much weekly led somebody to Christ. he's a fireball. It's awesome. And through that, other churches have heard, and so the Lord has used him to unite 12 churches in Florence with a united strategy to reach all of Florence. So we just went last week and helped him train 7 of those churches. And of those 7, 5 are saying, hey, we want to do a weekly rollout. And so 5 are committed to weekly rollouts over the next 12 weeks. And then 3 of those have said, would you help us raise up apostolic teams from within the church? And so just seeing that, only the Lord can put that together. It was incredible. His stuckage, so this would be one for just the Mediterranean context. He was leading all these people to Christ and just putting them into churches. So all those, which in a sense could be bad, but it led to the mobilization of all those churches wanting training. But now we're working with them to say, hey, when you lead people to Christ, work on starting new churches in the towns. And so that's where we're at in Italy. And I could share more, but I'll stop there.